always remain teachable. By having a practice, in my case, it is a spiritual practice. And I do believe if I get things right spiritually, I don't have to worry about the rest. That it will all fall into place. But that requires having a practice in the morning, throughout the day, and at the end of the day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Build It to Billions podcast, where we guide successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. We believe the key to scaling and compounding your wealth in life starts every single day with the mindset and practice of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles. Our ultimate goal is to help you scale and compound your wealth in life so you can give more or all of it away to help MVPs. My name is Brett Swarts. In every episode, we're joined by some of the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires. They share their stories, secrets, and insights with us so we can all level up and be able to make a bigger impact. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of Ireland, a place that I've always wanted to go to, but haven't quite had a chance to go to, but maybe one day. This guest is the founder and principal of Strategic Metals Invest, which provides a marketplace to private investors. Strategic Metals Invest enables private clients to acquire, store, and sell physical stocks of precious and strategic metals through its logistics and distribution platform, offering portfolio diversification and opportunities, and so much more. Please welcome to the show with me, Louis O'Connor. Louis, how are we doing?
Very well, very well. Thank you, Brett. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. And for our listeners to get to know you for the first time, would you give us just a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Absolutely. So, as you said, Louis O'Connor, you can tell from the accent that I'm not from Mississippi. I coming to you from Ireland. However, we are a European company. We're based in Central Europe. We have a logistics and distribution platform right in Frankfurt, which is actually the crossroads of Europe. And we've been in business for 25 years, supplying industry, manufacturers with technology metals, rare earth elements, which, although people may not be familiar with the name, just a quick example, artificial intelligence, obviously it runs on data, but it relies on rare earths for magnets, sensors, cooling systems that power, computer chips and data centers themselves. In addition to that, these raw materials are in, they're needed in defense, modern technology, energy transition. So that's our primary business, our core business. We buy and sell. We've over $1 billion in business done. We're a tier one supplier to many, many blue chip companies. And what we're going to talk about, Brett, is what you guys in America might call our side hustle, which is we have a side business. And that side business, which we've been doing since about 2010, is we invite private investors to physically own these raw materials, just like you would gold and silver. And we have a storage facility in Frankfurt. It was a bunker during World War II, 2 levels below ground, 1 level above. And that's our distribution and logistics platform, where if somebody buys from us and stores, then they have access when they want to sell to our more than 4,000 clients in 74 different countries.
Amazing, Louis. That's fantastic. And by the way, if you want to learn more about what Louis is doing and how you too can buy and invest in strategic metals, so you should go to strategicmetalsinvest.com. That's strategicmetalsinvest.com. Profit from scarcity and growth. So let's dive into the top secret to building wealth within this rare earth and technology metals place. Louis, what is the number one secret to that? And let's dive into a little more for that. Okay.
Okay, so I'll use gallium as a case study. So gallium is, it's got multiple applications, but one of the key ones is it's used in computer chips. Gallium, you won't find a significant mine just for gallium or any of these metals that we'll discuss. The reason for that is, Brett, gallium is a byproduct of aluminum mining. So these raw materials, they don't occur naturally in the Earth's crust. They're always a byproduct of another raw material. So what that means is there's an inflexibility, or there's an inelasticity to supply. I'll give you one example. Hafnium is a raw material that's needed in super alloys in jet engines and nuclear reactors, as well as space technology, rocket engines. Hafnium is a byproduct of zirconium mining. So for every 50 tons of zirconium, you only get 1 ton of hafnium. So hafnium, for example, there's only 70 to 90 tons produced every year. And how investors can profit and what the unique investment strategy is from time to time, and I'll give you some examples of this as well. We have scarcity driven price increases. And one example would be with gallium. When we went into lockdown, everybody was going to work from home, and it's needed in computer chips. So there was a huge surge in demand for laptops and home technology. So hafnium or gallium, I should say, went up something like 500% in a 3-year period because demand surged, but supply cannot be increased just because of that. Another example is a couple of years after that, when we came out of lockdown, the Boeing, Airbus, all of a sudden were putting in orders for jet engines again. Hafnium demand increased. So hafnium went up about 250% in an 18-month period. And then most recently, we have, you might have heard this, it was in the news all over the world, there's a trade technology war going between China and the US and well, not just the US. So when the tariffs were announced, China announced April the 4th that they would also, as well as putting in tariffs, that they would restrict the export of 7 rare earths worldwide, but focus more on the US. 2 of them are 2 that we offer to private investors: dysprosium and terbium, dysprosium and it was dysprosium and terbium, excuse me. So within a space of a week, like they were up 30%, 40%. So the point I'm making is that when demand increases, supply cannot keep up, and this is where the private investors.
Okay, got it. So scarcity is huge here. That makes sense, and you can literally see and track this in real time for what's going on in the world, events and different things. And so, okay, so just some real rapid fire here before we dive into a little more of the strategy. Average returns, right? Liquidity. Do you need to be an accredited investor? What's the average term that you have to hold for? Is this a fund model? Like, walk us through a little bit of those, just little quick hitters, and then we'll keep diving into the overall market of it.
Okay, so the private investor physically owns the metal or the raw material, just like they would gold and silver. The average returns for, let's say, the last 5 years, are about 34% a year every year. Now, one of those metals may have drastically increased and some didn't go up so much. So what the strategy is to look for, as we just discussed, a scarcity driven price. Like, we do recommend holding a minimum of 3-5 years, even better, in order for this to occur.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So average return has been 34%. You get a handful of these, right? Hold at least 3 for a minimum of 5 years is the recommendation. But what if someone says, Louis, I don't have 5 years. I want to do this for a year or 2. How quickly can they get in or out? Or is it something they need to give a 5-year commitment?
No, there's no commitment. They're extremely liquid. As I mentioned earlier, Brett, our core business, like 85% of our business activities, is we're buying metals from producers, mostly in China. China has an unmatched sort of domination in rare earths and technology metals. So we're buying them and then we're reselling them to manufacturers in 70 different. This is our prime and core business. And it's worth pointing out, as we discussed this, like, we're not financial advisors. We don't have another offer. We don't sell, agriculture or crypto or anything like that.
Yeah.
We only have this offer because our core business is as an industry supplier. Now, having said that, if somebody said to me, look, I want to do it for 6 months, we would say, look, don't do it. You won't make it. Sure. It's not likely you would make money. We would rather, we tell people exactly what the strategy is and say, if you're aligned with the strategy, come on board. If not, go buy something else, because there's no guarantee in 8 months or a year you will make money.
Okay, so this is more like a 3 to 5 year or plus is your recommendation. Although someone could come in and things could go well, and they could sell it back to you guys or sell it back to the market and make a profit. But generally speaking, your recommendation or your thought on this is hold it for 3 to 5 or 5 to 7 years. Is that a fair summary?
Exactly. And just two examples very quickly, Brett. When hafnium went up 250%, I had a client from the US, a lady who maybe knew something we didn't, but she only bought half new. We usually recommend diversify and buy many, but she in the space of about 8 months, she'd more than doubled her initial
Good.
investment, and she sold, and we were very happy in that scenario. But what we're saying is, look, we can't. There's no guarantee. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah.
speculation.
Diversification. Yeah. Of course, all of these things. Do you need to be an accredited investor?
No, no.
Okay.
Minimum
You don't have to have
investment is only $10,000, and we have clients investing, from that up to 200, 300,000
okay.
more.
Has anyone in any 5-year period of time investing with you guys ever lost $1?
No, in fact, it's a very good question. Just in the last month, we had a gentleman over from the US who is looking at becoming maybe more of a business partner. Before he came, this gentleman's an engineer and very detail orientated. And what he had done was he'd looked at, if he'd bought metals from us on every year since 2010 and held them for 3 years, he said the outcome was always positive. Some years better than others. So that's the absolute fact if you're willing to stay in.
Okay, let me say I got that. So if he had bought metals from 2010 on every year, right, and stayed at least 3 years every time he bought it, it was always a positive outcome.
Correct.
What was the actual amount though? Like, what do you mean? Like just breaking even, 10%, or is that back to the 30% average return? What is that?
We didn't get into that, and
Yeah.
I would, to be honest, I don't think it was huge, because 3 years is a. I'll try and give you a little bit more context. So on the industry side, we offer about 45 or 50 metals to manufacturers, but at any given time, we only offer maybe 8 or 10 to private investors because they're not all relevant. Now, what allows them come on the list is 4 characteristics. One, we will own, like Gallium, for example, has multiple applications. So if you own Gallium, you're invested in a downstream raw material that it ultimately becomes trillions of dollars in upstream GDP. So it's in practically every industry. We also look which ones are actually the most in demand at the moment. AI, automation would be one, energy transition. Which ones are actually the rarest? What the ones are the least produced? And then finally, we look at where is their sort of supply chain or heavy localized.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you guys are doing your analysis. You guys are experts in it, and someone's coming in as a passive investor in these things, right? And basically, you guys are. I get it. You're the broker in between, and that makes sense. Is that a fair summary? Or did I missed that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, on this, by the way, strategicmetalsinvest.com, everybody, strategicmetalsinvest.com. You can go to prices and go to current prices and year-to-date changes. And so the gallium that he's referring to is about 4 down. It looks like it's up about 7.86% this year, right? And it looks like since 2020, it's up 240%. Is that correct?
Correct.
So bringing that to life, if I had put $1 million in January of 2020, it would be worth what right now? It'd be worth, is that 2.4 million, or what would that be?
That's correct. Now there's that's the sale price. There's a bid ask. There's a.
I understand. Yeah, but just generally speaking,
that's exactly what they would be up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then yeah, some of these other ones up to date. Dysprosium up 28.5, basically 28% this year. And then since 2020 up 31%. So that one missed out a big jump this year. And then you have neodymium up down about 2% this year, but up 44% since 2020. Yeah, I think it would be really helpful to definitely see, the 12-month average. The year to date is good. Yeah, I like this. So what is the other secret to this? So besides being strategic, scarcity, if it's AI or certain tech metals that are needed. And then dollar cost averaging, $10,000 at a time. I mean, what's some of the things that you found to be successful, Louis, here?
You just about summed it up there, Brett. like I think the most important unique selling point, first of all, is the fact that we are an industry supplier. Like it wouldn't be safe for me or for anyone else just after, if they, if they're listening and go, okay, I'm going to buy some metals from China and then, in 5 years I'll make this money, because
Yeah.
the chain of custody is hugely important. Whether it's Apple or Siemens or BMW, they only buy from reputable suppliers. That's who we are, and that's what we do. We're a tier one supplier to many of the blue chip companies. So the safety aspect there is very, very important. And then
Okay.
after that, it's just, there can be, rare earths at the moment are sort of at the forefront they're at the front
Got
line
it.
of
I
geopolitical
got it.
decisions.
So someone can just basically passive at a time, 10,000 at a time, buy 3 to 5 metals with you guys, right? And just do that over a period of time. And if they hold 3 to 5 years, or they hold 5 to 7 years, obviously they're going to see certain bumps or bigger ones at different times. But on average, you're saying 34% is the return since you guys have been doing this. And again, that's based upon how many years of holding. I guess we're still getting clear on trying to get clear on that, because I think that's the biggest thing. People want to know cash flow, and this is not a cash flow play. This is a buy and hold strategy and sell high. Do they get taxed as capital gains tax if they're in the U.S.? So if they buy it for $1 million and it gets exited at 2.4 million, let's say like on that one, they get taxed on the difference there. Is that how that works?
Yeah, obviously you don't want to take tax advice from an Irishman in Tipperary, but yeah,
Yeah.
the vault in Frankfurt is a duty free zone, so the purchase, there's no duties or taxes in when you buy or sell from us, but your tax responsibilities after that are yours. But it sounds about accurate what you just said.
Okay. All right. That making sense. Again, everyone, if you want to learn more, you can go to strategicmetalsinvest.com, strategicmetalsinvest.com, to learn more about Louis and what he's doing. If you want to be able to invest into rare earth and technology metals, alternative asset class, inflation and crisis proof, according to them, which I think makes some sense on everything that you're saying so far. Wealth preservation, unique investment strategy, outperform stocks and gold. Okay, let's talk about that. So talk about how it's outperformed stocks and gold. What, on any 10-year term of the stock market, let's say for the last 30 years, how has the metals outperformed the stock market? What's been the comparison?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I couldn't give you the exact numbers, but the website you're looking at there, Brett, we have it all outlined there. If you look at some prices and compare, it is actually there. One thing I'd mentioned just that came up in my head when you were talking, I said 34% a year, say every year for the last 5 years. What's interesting there, though, if you look at terbium right now, you'll see that terbium's up about 110% in the last since January the 1st, 2020, right? But what that chart, well, if you go in, we have 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10
Okay.
years. If you look closely, you'll see that actually during that period, terbium went up 500% when we went into lockdown. So it's now steadied itself. So as you mentioned earlier, the key thing is to watch out for when the prices, escalate, when there's a scarcity driven price hike, and sell then. That could happen in 8 months. It might take 2 years. It could take longer. But the strategy is to watch when they go through one of these very, very
Okay.
distinct
So like
periods.
even like right now, like if someone calls you Louis, they're like, Louis, all right, I got 100,000. Let's put, pick, what are the five that, I don't know if you call them recommendations. I don't know if you call them, here are the ones that we're going, whatever, right? Are you guys kind of giving some general guidance on that, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we give a good, we want people to get obviously fully informed. I mean, it's safe to say every one of our clients are buying technology metals for the first time, so we keep them or recommend they stay in the information gathering stage as much as possible. But just for example, we're recommending 8 metals right now, 4 technology metals, and 4 rare earths. Out of those eight, 6 of them are on export restriction to the United States because of this trade war, gallium and germanium and the 4 rare earths. So there's
Mm.
stuff like that. There's geopolitical drama situations that come up. There's, if there's a new technology where there's a surge in demand, we would be well versed in that. We have a weekly bulletin that goes out to our list. So people are. generally very informed before they make the purchase, as well as informed as they'd like to be.
Okay, excellent. Now let's shift a little bit here to Bitcoin, right? I'm curious, being somebody in your world, right, and so long an expert at what you do, they say Bitcoin is a new digital gold. What's your take on Bitcoin, and or do you invest in Bitcoin, and how do you feel like it compares?
I have done. I did as far back as 2017, 2018, and I made some money. I'm a believer in cryptocurrency. I'm a believer in Krypton. I'm no expert. My belief is it's the future. It's not there yet. It's not quite what people want it to be. But would I invest it in again? Yes. I wouldn't really compare the two. Um, our rare earths the prices are volatile because of geopolitical situations, but ultimately, I suppose the difference is when you own gallium, you own gallium. It's in a vault, it's in Frankfurt. Nobody would argue demand for gallium is not going to continue to increase, and if the price does happen to go down, if you just hold on to it, it will go up again.
Okay, excellent. You think gallium's like, if you had to choose one right now, you feel like that's the most bullish one you have that you're feel good about?
I would say gallium, germanium, dysprosium, neodymium, praseodymium, and terbium. At the same time, though, I wouldn't dismiss hafnium, rhenium, or indium. All
Okay.
that if you bought those 9 metals, you're literally on the raw materials that are power of the 21st century.
Okay, got it. And so the neat part is talk us about the steps. Someone's like, okay, I'm really interested. I want to do this. What are the steps? How simple is it? What does it take to set up? What do you have to do if someone had 100,000 and they're like, yeah, I want to go for this. Yeah.
So if you said to me you'd want to buy 100,000, the first thing you'll receive from us, Brett, is an offer. All we need is your full name or name of an entity, whether if it's an LLC, and a physical address. At this point, we don't need anything more than that. And you would receive then an offer showing, like, let's say we did $10,000 of each metal. You'll see the purity levels. The chain of custody is very, very important. The batch numbers. So we need you to see obviously exactly what you're purchasing. So there's no it's not it's binding on our side, but not yours. It's just for you to see what it looks like. And then once you've reviewed the offer, now by then we'll have had you fairly well educated on the metals. You'll know all about them. But if you decide to proceed, you just send us an email to say, yeah, I accept the offer. And then we send you an invoice and an order confirmation with bank transfer details. You can buy in US dollars or euros, but most, obviously North American clients are buying in dollars. And you'd send the money directly to our office in Frankfurt, of which you obviously receive a confirmation of receipt and then a storage agreement to be signed and returned. And once that's returned, you receive then what we call your safekeeping receipt, which is basically a credited account statement from the vault. The vault is a separate legal entity than who you're buying from. It's owned 100% by the same people. But just in case something happened with the one or the other, you're dealing with two separate legal entities. So then, yeah, you'd have your safekeeping receipt, and we then update you with a performance portfolio sheet that's updated daily. People can track daily how the metals are doing, and we're just implementing. I have to say, we're coming more into the 21st century in July, August this year, where our private investors will have access directly to a portal on the website where they can see the inventory, they can buy or sell online. So we're trying to get it as modern, if you will, as buying gold and silver, and we're very close to that as well.
Excellent. Everyone, we're speaking with Louis O'Connor, and again, you can learn more by going to strategicmetalsinvest.com. Strategicmetalsinvest.com. Louis, you ready for the lightning round?
Sorry?
Are you ready for the lightning round?
Whatever that is, Brett, I'm ready.
It means we just go a little bit faster. That's all it really means. By the way, if people want to learn more about how to defer capital gains taxes on the sale of any asset of any kind, including businesses, including precious metals, gold, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, real estate, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We can help you with that. So if you have a massive $1 million plus gain, $1 million net proceeds, and you want to learn how to defer capital gains taxes, this is for US based capital gains tax. Although you could be an international owner of something in the U.S., we could also help you. It just needs to be subject to U.S. capital gains tax. You go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Don't get caught overpaying in taxes when you can just defer it and build more wealth and diversify and go right back into investments like Louie's talking about, or back into real estate or the stock market, diversify, dollar cost average. Just go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Okay, here's the lightning round. Ready, Louie? Number one book you've recommended or give to the most in the past year?
An Interrupted Life, Etty Hillesum.
Excellent. Question number two, what's the one thing you're most curious about right now?
Spirituality.
What do you mean by that?
I think if you go down the path will open up, and I think that path it gives you like a new pair of glasses, like you see life with a new lens. It's only something you can experience by moving towards it.
Okay. All right. Next question. Top way you're using ChatGPT?
Not so much at the moment. I don't know if I will in the future. We don't really need it at the moment.
Okay. Next question. Number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Oh, I'm thinking of Vince Lombardi. I wasn't expecting the question. Oh.
Yeah, it could be a theme. It could be a quote. Anything that's that's like
always remain teachable.
Okay, excellent. Let's see. Next question. How do you best stay centered in your values and then stay challenged to charge forward to reach even higher heights?
By having a practice. In my case, it is a spiritual practice. And I do believe if I get things right spiritually, I don't have to worry about the rest. That it will all fall into place. But that requires having a practice in the morning, throughout the day, and at the end of the day. Excellent.
Hey, I want to thank you, first of all, for your passion to help people invest in alternative investments that are metals, hard assets that are appreciating, that are our need for our future and technology in the world. And these returns seem very, very attractive, right? And so this is great what you're doing. It's a very niche thing. For our listeners, again, who want to get in touch with you, Louie, one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
They can email me direct, Louis, Louis, at strategicmetalsinvest.com, or just go to the website, Strategic Metals Invest.
Awesome. Thank you, Louis, for being on the show. And also want to thank all of our listeners for listening to another episode of the Build It to Billions podcast. We're also streaming on Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast and YouTube channels. And we're on this journey with you to scale from millions to billions so we can give more, all of it away to help MVPs. My name is Brett Swarts, and I hope you found a ton of value from Louis today. And I would encourage you to take a peek at what he's offering to see if it could be a good fit for you or your clients as a way to diversify their wealth. Please rate, review, subscribe. And of course, if you have a big, large, multi-million-dollar gain on an asset you're selling, could be Bitcoin, could be precious metals, could be cryptocurrency, real estate, a business, go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com right now to get scheduled to do a no-cost consultation with myself or one of my team members to make sure you're not caught paying 20, 30, 40, 50% of your proceeds in tax. You can defer it, you can grow it, you can compound your wealth. Appreciate everyone out there, and we'll talk again real soon. Bye now.